Hi everyone! My name is Elizabeth, this is Frizzy Lizzie Stitches, and this is Flosstube number 56. Okay, this is going to be a very fun episode because I have so many things to show you. It has been 3 weeks since my last video, and today is February the 9th, 2024. So yes, first things first, you might notice I have some additions to the wall here, and I did film like a separate clip because I didn't want to take them off the wall, but I did frame 3 of my finishes like 2 weekends ago. So yes, I'm super excited about that. And then I also actually touched a lot of projects in the past 3 weeks. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, like 5 projects. Really 6 if you count Frankenscat right here because he is a finish since my last video. But yeah, so I also have some knitting and like a tiny bit of crochet that is literally a development from last night. So I will show you that as well. And then of course there will be lots of chitter chatter of just things I've been up to and things I'm enjoying at the end of the video. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for the intro. I think we could just get right into it. Okay, so first things first, I really want to talk to you about my framed finishes. I did film a separate clip, so I will add that in here, but I did finish 3, I framed 3 finishes. One of them is Haunted Library here, which I finished in November of 2023, and then Frankenscat, which I finished like 2 weekends ago, and then right there is Possum Song, which I finished in December of 2021. So I will put that clip in here so you can see how beautiful all the projects look because I'm so excited about it. Okay, so instead of taking off my new FFOs off the wall, I'm just going to film them while they're on the wall. I also hung this one up. If you pay attention to the back of my videos, you will have known that this has been here, but it was not actually attached to the wall yet. It was just kind of like resting on the lip of this frame. So that is on the wall now. That is a caterpillar cross stitch pattern called Made to Create, and I don't know, I think I finished that in 2021. And I did this finish a while ago, but it is officially on the wall now. This one is Possum Song by Mama Witch Cross Stitch. I found this frame, well, that frame is not really a frame, it came from Target, but these 3 frames all came from Michael's, and it's a 10-inch circle frame. It actually does have a kickstand on it, so you can set it on a table, but obviously I hung it on the wall, and it worked perfectly. I'm pretty sure my Possum Song is stitched on like maybe a 16 or 18 count Ada, so it fits in there really well, and it actually came with a little foam board in there, so I just used that to mount the cross stitch on, so it was kind of convenient. But yeah, I finished Possum Song in December of 2021, so now it's so nice that he's all framed and up on the wall so I can look at him all the time. Next up is my most recent finish, which is Frankenscat by Lindy Stitches. I finished this on January the 24th, no, the 25th, 2024. Hold on, I'm repositioning. Okay, there we go. So yes, I finished this a couple weeks ago, and I was kind of riding a high of like, I finished this, let's just go to Michael's and get a frame and just fully finish it right away. And so that's what I did, and that's how these other 2 ended up getting framed as well. But this is an 8x8 black frame. Again, came from Michael's, standard size. I did cut a piece of mat board to mount my project onto, and I just think it looks so great. And then this is my Haunted Library by Lola Cross Stitch. This frame also, like I said, came from Michael's. It is a 11x14, and my project was stitched on 36 count linen. And funny enough, when I was framing all of these, I sent some pictures and videos to my friends, and Cam from Cam the Stitcher actually said that her Haunted Libraries is framed in this exact same frame. So I think it was just made for this piece. And I think it's really funny that we picked the same frame, because I see it in the back of her videos, but I completely wasn't paying attention. I guess the back of my brain was paying attention. But anyway, so yeah, I finished a haunted library like in November of 2023, and now it is all framed on the wall. So I feel so excited to have all these finishes framed and in my little cross stitch corner, because it really does make my little stitchy space that much better. Okay, back to the regular video. All right. So yes, that was very exciting. Once I finished Frankenscat, I was very much like on a high of like, I am just gonna go to Michael's tomorrow and get a frame. And then I was like, well, you know what? If I'm going to Michael's, I might as well look for some frames for some other things. And then I had a whole list of my finishes for my project roll that I wanted to put in a frame, and I like wrote down their measurements, and some of them were standard and some of them were not. And I kind of took that with me to Michael's to see what I could find that could work for my projects. And so I ended up with 3 frames. I knew from the start that I wanted Frankenscat to go in a square black frame. I knew that I wanted Possum Song in a round frame. It was honestly kind of like perfect that I found that one, because you don't really see round frames very often. And then the Haunted Library one just worked out really funny. So it was actually like the last one that looked like that there, so I think it was meant to be. But I did try a new finishing style. Usually I will like kind of do a combination of pinning and just kind of gluing the fabric to the back with like a non-adhesive or an acid-free adhesive. And this time I actually tried lacing, and I was very intimidated to do lacing because I thought it looked wild and I had no idea how to even approach doing that. And I actually ended up following, on Brijin's recommendation, I followed the Lindy Stitches tutorial, which is, I think she says that it's not a tutorial because she's just doing it, she says, the lazy way, but it really was a good video on how to lace. Especially, I think the biggest handy tip that I learned from that was keeping the thread attached to the spool while you are pulling, like threading on the back of your project. So I will link that video down below in case you are trying to lace a project of your own. Many people do recommend using like upholstery thread. I did not have any upholstery thread, so I just used regular sewing thread, which is probably not the best idea because I didn't even double it up or anything, but it worked for what I needed it to do. So it is still okay to use, I guess. You have to be careful not to pull so tight that you would break the thread or rip your fabric or whatever. So, but yeah, so I did lacing, and I was just on a framing spree a couple weekends ago. But aside from that, I also stitched on several projects. So I'm going to show you what I've been stitching on. Okay, so first up is Positivity Lifts by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. This is what the pattern looks like, and then this is what it would have looked like last time I showed it to you, and this is what mine looks like now. So I had, one of my WIPGO goals for January was to stitch 500 stitches on a project with blue floss. And so when I wrote that prompt, I was kind of hoping that it would get called later so that when I got my round robin piece back that I could work on that, because that's blue floss. But we're not quite there yet, obviously, and so I was kind of rummaging through my projects to see what else had blue floss that was like in this area of the pattern that I was ready to stitch. And so Positivity Lifts checked that box for me. So I only stitched with blue. So obviously there's like some orange that's going to go in here, and then there's some more colors in the word focus that aren't blue that I skipped. But everything that you, like, I think I already had the ATHE in these lines. So yeah, but I worked on that. And this was the weekend that I watched a ton of movies. And so I think while I was working on this one, I watched Aladdin. But yeah, and Oliver and Company. I think I watched 2 movies that day. But anyway, this fabric is 18 count Ada from Fiber on a Whim called Color Happens. And it's getting a little washed out just because of how bright it is, but this is that's pretty reflective of what it looks like. It's a very soft, like minty, I guess, I don't know, or like a light pistachio or something like that. But it's really pretty, and I think all the color, it's very pastel, so it matches the rest of the color palette for this chart, which I'm really excited to get to because there's like some pinks and yellows and things like that. So, but yes, that is Positivity Lifts. Okay, so the next one is going to be Love Boat Sampler, so let me find that down here. Okay, this one is still in the Q-snap because first of all, you can see the entire project, and second, this is kind of like a focus piece for me for the next foreseeable future until it's finished. So this is what this project is going to look like, and then this is what it would have looked like last time I showed it to you, and this is what mine looks like now. So I basically worked on the border over here and added this boat and some of the blue motifs going around the little pinwheel there. My fabric is 36 count Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers in the color Summer Soiree. And I'm stitching with 2 strands of floss on over 2 linen threads. And I'm doing like a custom color conversion because I wanted to use colors that I already had. This project calls for color and cotton. And I did have some of the called for color and cotton, but not all of it. So I will link below my color conversion in case you're curious. But if I didn't have a if I didn't have a variegated floss that matched the called for, then I just used the DMC. And for the blues, I did purchase specific blues while I was at StitchCon because if you've been around here, you know I had a bit of a hard time figuring out my blue colors for these little birds, and then at the bottom there will be the ocean. So I'm using 2 forbidden fiber flosses for that. But yeah, this is a stitch along that I'm doing with my friends Liz, Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, and Shiloh, X-Stitch MD. And I'm returning to Stitch North this April, and so I'm really excited to hopefully get this really close to a finish, if not finished by then, so that I can bring my project and show my friends, and hopefully they will bring theirs too. I think Liz said something about doing that as well in one of her latest floss tubes. So yeah, anyway, but I love this. It's so pretty, and I love the vibrant colors. It's just adorable. And also, since it does have so many colors, I am using this little thread keep from Sheba Designs to kind of keep some needles loaded up with certain colors. And since the colors are very easy to distinguish, I don't have like them labeled or anything. I just know that there's a red, there's a dark pink and a light pink, and a dark green and a light green. But this has made it really easy, so instead of having to thread my needle with a different color each time, I can just keep it loaded on the needle if there's more floss left, and then just pull this out when I'm ready to use that color again. Alright, so the next project that I worked on was Quaker Gardens, which is the round robin that I'm doing with my friends. And I got to stitch on Alexis's project from Alexis, My Amazing World. And so this is what Alexis's project looks like. And then also I will throw up a picture of the section that I stitched on her project. But she is, you know what, I don't think I wrote down, I think it might be, hold on a second. Okay, I wanted to pull up her project information with the floss and the fabric names because I forgot to write it down, but it's in my Notion. So she stitched hers is stitched on 36 count Cedar River linen in the color Albarium, and she's using a Bestitch Me silk in the color Gaia, stitched 1/2. So yes, this is what it looks like. This was really fun to stitch on because since it is such a pastel palette, it really kind of gave me some like spring vibes, and it's actually very sunny when I was stitching on it, and even today it's very sunny. So I told Bobby yesterday, actually, I was like, I think we need to take the heated blanket off the bed because it actually feels like spring even though it's only February. So I know there could be, you know, a whole shift in the weather where it goes back to feeling cold for a few days, but anyway, this is Alexis's project. I only have one more project to stitch before mine should be returned to me, which is Megan's project from the Seattle Stitcher. And I'm so excited. This project has been so much fun, and I'm really excited to see my project again because it's gonna have all my friends stitching on it. Okay, next up is a new start. So some of my friends were toying around with the idea of pink February stitching, which there's a hashtag for on Instagram if you're active over there. But basically the whole idea is to stitch on pink in the month of February. So I started a new project because I plan to start it anyway. But this is Love Letters Ruby by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. This is actually the same fabric that my Love Boat sampler is stitched on, but I guess this is what it's supposed to look like. But yes, I started this last weekend, or the weekend before, I think it was last weekend, and I got a pretty good start. So I got her head and her neck, and next up is it is like a cut, like a bust cut, or it cuts off at her bust, so I need to do her dress, and then there's like some little frilly stuff in the background, and then there's like a little postage stamp border. But yes, I already have Ralph stitched, which is her boyfriend, and I'm hoping to finish her ASAP, basically, so that I can finish both of them into pillows, because I already have a finishing idea. I'm planning to use some Lady.Create velveteen, it's a red one, and some white pom-pom trim. I think it's gonna look super cute. So yeah, that's Ruby. And I'm using all the called for DMC, and I'm stitching with 2 threads over 2 linen threads. So my last project, or last cross stitch project that I have worked on, is Greenhouse of Oddities by Lola cross stitch. And this was a whip go call, but also it kind of fell into the pick-a-whip prompt as well. For pick-a-whip is something that Marjorie from Marjorie Made does, where she picks a prompt, or she pick a whip. So she picks a prompt that you're supposed to use to choose what whip to work on. So the prompt was a project with flowers. Well, my whip go call was to stitch on something with plants. So I chose Greenhouse of Oddities, and I got my 500 stitches in. Oh, this is what it's supposed to look like. And this is what it would have looked like last time I showed it to you. And this is what it looks like now. So I basically filled in a lot of this little well, the little rat, and I started on the corpse flower in the center. And yeah, I absolutely love stitching on this project. This is 36 count Fox and Rabbit linen in the color Oyster Shell, and I'm stitching with 2 strands of DMC. And it is just so chunky in like the best way. Like I don't really have any issues with like it being too tight to pull through or anything like that, and I just love how bold and graphic this looks, and it's just such a joy to stitch, and I love it so much. So sadly I will be putting this away to work on some other stuff, but I was really glad that I got to pull this out for a whip go. Alright, so that is all of my cross stitch. Next up I have some knitting, and so I guess we will start with Bobby's Musselburgh Hat. I think it's in this bag. I actually switched the bags around for travel purposes. So a couple weeks ago I went on a work trip, and it was something where I was going to be in the car for a couple hours going to the site and then coming back, and thankfully I did not have to drive, so I just got to be a passenger princess and work on my knitting while talking to my coworkers. So this is the Musselburgh Hat by Isolde Teague, and this is what my hat looks like. This yellow stitch marker here is where I would have been last time I showed this to you. So I got a good, there's a hair. I got a good, like, that's pretty much almost 2 inches of fabric that I got knitted up. I'm at the part where you just knit until it's long enough to start decreasing. So yeah, and I was trying to mark over here with these pink stitch markers like every 10 stitches, just for the sake of not having to count all the stitches, I guess, so I knew like where halfway is going to end up being. But I haven't this is my yarn. It is fingering weight. This is why I'm not a knit podcaster. It's Big Sky Yarn Company. You cannot read that because it is so overexposed. But it is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and the color is called Grizzly Bear. And so, like I said, this one's gonna be for Bobby. And I think this was a 100 gram skein, and I think I've only used like 20 grams so far. So I'm doing good. I'm hoping that it will be long enough so that I can have a nice fold over brim. But yeah, that's what my hat looks like. And I really love how this fabric looks. So pretty. And it's just really fun to stitch. Or knit. I'm using some 16-inch circular needles. They are a size 2, which is a 2.75 millimeter. So anyway, that's my Musselburgh hat. Like I said, I did like this much. Oh, and I think other relevant information would be that I'm knitting a size medium. Alright, my next knitting project is a pair of socks that I've been working on for way too long, really, but I am what I am. So this is my sock. And it looks like this. I'm really close to getting to start the toe. I think I might have another 1/2 inch to go before I can start the toe. I did weave in some of my ends, but I haven't cut them off yet. And I did not weave in these two. But anyway, this sock yarn is from Fiber Seed. Looks like this. It's called Unicorn Tears. And then the accent color that I chose is called Litmus. And they are both like a blend of 90% merino and 10% nylon. And I have stitch markers indicating every 10 rows. And I actually switched these over to 9-inch circulars. I don't know if I mentioned that last time I showed this or not. But yes, it took a while to get used to because it is very weird to hold such tiny or like such short needles. But it's actually really, like, once you get used to it, it's really nice. These are a 1.5, which is a 2.5 millimeter. So yes, I'm hoping I can finish this sock in the next few days so that I can get the other sock started and kind of move this along, because I think it's just kind of sitting around, and I would like to have one sock done and the other sock started so I can be motivated to get the second sock done so I can wear them, because I totally got Birkenstocks for Christmas so that I can wear my hand-knit socks in my Birkenstocks, because that's just a vibe that I want to live. But the pattern I'm following is Crazy Sock Lady's Vanilla Sock tutorial, which I will link below. So next up is like a tiny bit of crochet. I made this granny square. So I did this last night and finished the border of it this morning. But this is like super popular right now. It's known as like the retro flower power granny square or retro daisy granny square. And anyway, obviously it's a daisy. And there's a person on Instagram that I really enjoy watching. Her name is Elise Myers, and she has like started crocheting, and it's adorable because she also started getting into Taylor Swift, and so I just feel like I'm slowly like, I feel like she's taking on all these things that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my favorite thing. But anyway, so she made herself a sweater using this retro daisy granny square. So like the sweater's made up of a bunch of granny squares. And anyway, it's really cute. She made a video that I will link below of her showing you how to make this granny square, which is what I use to make mine. And so I'm just kind of really inspired to make my own sweater, but I think I'm gonna make a cardigan, and there's no timeline on this because I literally decided this yesterday. But I already had this yarn. It's just all acrylic yarn, and yeah, so I think it would be really fun. I think the next one I'm gonna make is gonna be have a pink center and a red background, but I think I'm just gonna leave it to pink, white, and red and go from there. Because I also so Elizabeth Ann had an adorable little heart sweater that she got from Target, and I was too late to the game because that thing was sold out before I even knew about it. But I love that cardigan. It's so cute, and I think I like it so much because of the colors, and so I'm kind of trying to replicate the colors with this Flower Power granny square. So that's kind of my inspiration, I guess. But like I said, I only have one square, and I don't even know how many I need to make a cardigan, so I'm gonna have to do some research to figure that out. But yeah, I think even if the pink yarn I had was this like Joanne, I love this yarn, so I feel like it should be easy to find this again. And I already have another skein of the red, and white's kind of easy to match if it's not the same brand, you know. But even if I run out of that pink and I can't find the exact same pink, I don't think I'm going to be beat up about it, as long as it's similar, because it is going to be a very quirky cardigan that I just wear whenever I feel like making a statement. But yes, this is freaking adorable, and I want to make more of these. That is my crochet story. Okay, so that is all the crafty stuff. I'm gonna go in, or I guess like crafts that I actually worked on. I'm gonna go into a smidge. Well, I have one piece of haul, and then I was gonna kind of talk about some plans for a little bit, and then get into all the extra stuff. So I got my Stitchery fabric of the month, and it is called Dusty Cottage, and I get the 36 count linen, and this is what my piece looks like. When I first opened it up, I only saw this, and I was like, oh my god, that is so modeled. Like, what the heck would I do on that? But after I opened it up, I kind of breathed a sigh of relief, because I was like, okay, it's not all that extremely modeled. Really just this corner. So, but yeah, it's really pretty. It's kind of like a soft, cool-toned brown. And yeah. So that is getting added to stash. I get the fat quarter, so this is a 18 by 27 cut. And so since this is a neutral fabric, that means for February I should get a colorful fabric, because this is January's color. So yeah, that'll be fun to look forward to. Okay, and then as far as plans go, in my last video I talked about how I wanted to stitch the token by Long Dog Samplers, and I had ordered some pink and blue floss from Color and Cotton. I did order a extra skein of pink. The blue that I ordered was out of stock, so I'm gonna wait until that comes in stock to order my extra skein. But I don't have it yet because I just had it ship with my monthly club, which I think has shipped, but I don't have it yet, so I can't show you. But I did take the time to get my pattern ready to stitch. So I have the PDF of this chart, and for some reason I just could not get it to load into Pattern Keeper. And I think it's because the orientation of the pattern is actually landscape instead of portrait, and I think Pattern Keeper just had a really hard time knowing what that meant. And the other piece of it was that I was going to be stitching mine in 2 colors rather than 1. So I kind of also needed to map out like what color I was going to put where, and also get an idea of like how evenly I split the 2 colors. So I just decided that it was going to be easiest if I just recharted the entire thing into my cross stitch software. I use MaxStitch by Ursa software, which I think I always had that link below in like my stitching must-haves or whatever. But anyway, so I recharted the token, and the only thing I changed per se was I updated like the date and the initials, and I think I noticed a couple errors in the chart where something was supposed to be symmetrical and it wasn't, so I fixed that when I recharted it. But this is my little mock-up of what my pattern is, or what my project is going to look like. I did just order some fabric from Hollis Hands Creates, so I'm waiting on that to be packaged and shipped to me, and we will see if it is the perfect fabric like I think it will be. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I think pretty much as soon as the as soon as my fabric gets here, I think I will start this. I am sticking to a whole finish 3, start 1 situation, but obviously I started, you know, this little small, which I'm kind of not counting towards a start either, just because it's going to be finished before the end of the month. And Frankenscat counted as finish number 1, so I really just have to finish 2 more things before I can start something else. And the token is going to take me forever because it's like 200 by 235 that I don't really care having to wait to start it. So yeah, anyway, I make the rules, so if you got a problem with it, not that anyone ever gives me grief for that, but yeah, so that is on the radar. Another thing that I think the other 2 things I wrote down were, I want to finish Ruby, obviously, and then I want to work on Love Boat Sampler. So Love Boat Sampler is kind of my new focus piece, so I will, and also it's pink and it's February, so I'm just kind of living up that hashtag Pink February stitching vibes. So I'm just going to work on that and see how much done I can get in the next few weeks, and if I'm starting to feel burnt out on it, then I will swap it out for my other focus piece, which is the Fox by Cottage Garden Samplings, because those are the next 2 projects that I would like to finish. So those are my stitchy plans. Obviously I want to keep working on my hat and keep working on my socks, and I'm really obsessed with the whole granny square thing, so might be working on that as well. Those are kind of what I hope to be working on over the next few weeks. So yeah, I think we can get into the chatty bit. So I feel like it's been forever since my last video. I feel like I honestly had enough stuff last weekend where I could have filmed then, but it was kind of one of those things where I really have to plan my weekend around filming, just because you don't have to get everything out and set up, and you know, there's a whole thing that goes with it. So I actually ended up taking notes throughout the couple weeks, so that when I sat down to film today, I wouldn't have to think like, oh, like what did I do 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, you know? So that came out really handy, because apparently 3 weeks ago it was still January. So my dad and my dog share the same birthday. So they both had their birthday at the end of January, and so that was really exciting. And then let's see, I've also been working on my full set of DMC. I'm at a roadblock right now because I realized that I did my math wrong and I did not order enough Adam Hart floss drop bobbins. So I'm kind of waiting to save up a little bit more money for my little DMC budget before I order more bobbins, because I really don't want to order just 1 bag. If I'm going to place an Adam Hart order and pay shipping, like I would rather at least buy 2 bags, or buy like a bag of the frosted bobbins with like a fun thread chip or something like that. So I'm kind of just saving up a little bit of money before I make that purchase. But I do still have a lot of skeins that have not been like wound up and put away. So I won't have to be buying any floss anytime soon, because I do want to, well, I say anytime soon. I won't be buying any more floss until I put the floss that I have already away. But I am filming little clips here and there as I'm doing this project, and we will see how it goes when I throw them all together to edit them. I've never done a vlog before, and it is a little disorienting when you go to film and you're like, what did I talk about in the last clip? Because the last clip would have been like 2 weeks ago. So that will be a fun little journey. Hopefully it ends well so I can share it with you all at the end. And let's see. So I did read some books, but before I talk about that, I want to talk about Taylor Swift. So first off, the biggest news is that she has a brand new album coming out in April, and I was like, I was so shocked, because so she announced it at the Grammys, okay, and I was kind of thinking that she's chaotic, right? So I knew she was gonna do something, but I was really thinking it was gonna be her announcing Reputation, Taylor's version. She shows up, she's wearing a white dress, black gloves, like very it seemed Reputation-esque at the time. And then she gets up there after she wins Pop Album of the Year, and she's like, I have a secret that I've been keeping for 2 years. That's such a long time. And then drops the fact that her new album, The Tortured Poets Department, comes out in April. And I'm like, wait, what? And it was really funny because I didn't actually watch the Grammys. I pretty much was just refreshing my Instagram because my Instagram For You page is basically just Taylor Swift. So, and people talking about her. So I was kind of just refreshing every few minutes to see what new popped up, and I actually needed to go to bed because it was a Sunday night. I had to get up to go to work the next day, and so it was like 9 o'clock when I got in bed, and because the Grammys didn't start until like 8 or something like that. And so I'm like laying there, and I'm like, I can't even sleep because I have so many nerves about what she's going to do. And so I like was just laying there. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get up one time to like just check my Instagram one more time. And so I checked it, there was nothing there. And so then I like Googled, I was like, how long is the Grammys? Like, how long do I have to stay up? Like, because if it's midnight, like I just need to forget it and go to sleep. And you know, it's at 11 p.m. and I'm like, oh, that's really late. But then I saw an article, I guess it was like, I don't know if it was the New York Post or something, but they were posting like updates as the Grammys were happening. And it said something about Taylor Swift's new album, and I'm like, excuse me? And so sure enough, I was like, okay, well, let me go to her Instagram just to check. And I went to her Instagram page, and she had posted the album cover, and I was just like, is this even real? Is this real right now? So, and then a few days later, she dropped the track list, and oh, I could go on a whole another video about the titles for those tracks. But yes, so I'm very excited about that. The fact that we already are able to pick up on so many little details and we haven't even heard any music from it yet just blows my mind. She is crazy. But yeah, anyway, so that's been really exciting. And then a couple of days ago, she actually announced that her tour movie is going to be put on Disney Plus in March. And I'm very excited for that because I'm going to watch it all the time. And she's actually adding back in a song that got cut from the movie, and also adding 4 additional surprise songs, which are from the acoustic set from the show. So that will be also really fun to be able to see, get to like relive it again. But yeah, so anyway, that's my Taylor Swift excitement for this video. She is doing it all, and I don't know how she does it all because it is crazy. It's just crazy. And I'm totally watching the Super Bowl on Sunday solely for the fact that I really hope that she makes it. Even if she doesn't, like, Travis Kelce will be there, so I'll watch it for him. But anyway, we don't have to talk about that anymore. So I read some books. I actually got a Kindle for my birthday, and although one of these books was an audiobook, I'm really enjoying the Kindle. It makes it so easy to read before I go to bed, and I'm also able to more easily read on my lunch break, and it's just so convenient, and I love it. So the first book that I finished was an audiobook called Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, and this was fantastic. He narrates his own book, which I guess it's like a memoir slash like, not like a self-help book, but like it's very like life inspiring. And Matthew McConaughey is such an interesting person because the way he got into his acting career is very unique, and he also has like done a bunch of crazy stuff that you're just like, wait, what? So it was just very entertaining to listen to him talk about his life and kind of like what he's learned from his own life and kind of like basic principles that he carries with him as he's living and existing in this world. And I just really enjoyed it, and I thought it was kind of a breath of fresh air to listen to that. And it was a really short audiobook. It was like 7 hours. So I listened to it in just like 2 or 3 days, I think. But yeah, I really enjoy it. If you like Matthew McConaughey or just like people talking about life, then that is a great audiobook to try out. I can't speak for the actual book because I listened to it, but I think the audiobook is probably better just because he's reading his own story. And he's just got a very nice voice. So the next book that I finished was called Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. This is my very first Christina Lauren book. They're very well known for their rom-com, like contemporary romance novels. And this book was so good. Like, I went into it thinking that it was just gonna be some fluffy little romance and I was just gonna, you know, have a good time, be like, oh, that's cute, you know. And no, it was like, it was intense and there was a lot of adventure and it was a lot of fun. And toward the end of the book, there were some things that happened that I was like, oh yeah, like I saw that coming. But like, yeah, I was still really enjoyed it because it was just so much fun. It wasn't until probably like 15-20% of the way through the book that things really started to take a turn. And I was like, whoa, what now? What kind of book is this? And then it got really exciting from there. And I totally teared up at the very end because there was a whole like emotional moment with a parent, and that always sends me over the edge. But it was a really good book and I highly recommend that one as well. And then currently I'm reading a book by Celeste. I actually don't know how to say her last name. It's literally NG, but it's called Everything I Never Told You. And I have read a book by her previously called Little Fires Everywhere, and I really loved that book as well. And this one I'm only like 30% through, but the way she writes about these characters is just so interesting because she's not like, it's like she's describing them without describing them, because you're learning about them based on how they are interacting with their environment, and it's just beautifully written and I'm really enjoying it. So I can't wait to keep reading that one and finish it up. But yeah, that's what I'm reading right now. And as far as like watching, I'm keeping up with some of my favorite Flosstubers. I watched several movies the other weekend. I think I watched like 4 or 5 movies. I've been working on a puzzle and just living life and having some fun in my free time. So yeah, I think that's it as far as like all the stuff that I wrote down. But yeah, so this is the part of the video where I'm like starting to go off script and I'm like, oh, but I'm having fun, but there's nothing else for me to talk about. So I guess I just need to stop talking. But yeah, anyway, I hope you've had a great day, evening, night, wherever you are, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!